Let's go, gang.
As of today, it's been over 2,605 days since A$AP Rocky has released an album, despite promising fans for years that a new one was coming soon.
When we get an album, come on. Man, don't do me like that, bro. A$AP, listen, don't make me do that right now, man.
And year after year, Rocky has continued to hype up this album, claim it's the greatest he's ever worked on, but then provide another excuse why it hasn't come out.
Most of the songs that I usually perform and like that, leak it. And once it's leaked, it's just like, nah, it's not on the project.
Fans have gone from excited to confused to frustrated, and most worrying of all, it looks as if they no longer care. Rocky's latest song, Pray for the Gang, did not make the top 200 on Apple Music despite being an exclusive release on there, and the music video was later set to private after several hours. And when you look at just how long fans have been left waiting, you can see exactly why they've given up and how this serves as a cautionary tale to never take your fans for granted.
I'll tell you guys this, A$AP Rocky is not Playboy Cardi, okay? Let's just get that straight. A$AP Rocky is not Playboy Cardi. You can't take 5 years off. I think it's 9 years now since Rihanna released her previous project. Some people have the ability to really ghost and some people do not. I don't think Rocky was he has a cult following, but it's still a following that he has to sustain. He still has to throw some fuel into the fire, and he wasn't doing that. Unfortunately, no, it's not I Am Music like Cardi, who literally is the epitome of music now, that he can take years off, and when he comes back, it's one of the biggest releases of his career. Rocky's not that guy, okay? He's not that guy. So, I don't know what he was thinking, but he doesn't have the juice like that.
A$AP Rocky released his most recent album, Testing, on May 25, 2018. At the time, Mac Miller and XXXTentacion were still alive, and nobody had heard of COVID-19. But since then, multiple things have happened in Rocky's life that have distracted him from making a follow-up album. In 2019, he was arrested in Sweden and spent a month in jail and had to cancel his European tour dates. Later that year, Rocky was first spotted dating Rihanna, which would soon blossom into a long-term family relationship. But in May of 2021, Rocky informed GQ magazine that he was working on a new album, which was tentatively named All Smiles. He said that he was disappointed that the experimental approach of Testing wasn't that well received, but decided that he was going to double down on this approach. He said, "If I'm still doing the same..."
You think Yeezus was well received? You think 808s and Heartbreak was well received? It was not. But after time, people came to appreciate it. So maybe Rocky needs to take a second and be like, maybe I need the album to sit for 10 years. How about we revisit it in 2028 and then we'll say to ourselves, hey, maybe Testing was a good project.
Same-ish with the same sounds and the same bars and the same visuals from years ago. What's the point? You got that catalog. You can go revisit that. As many people have guessed, he confirmed that he was working on music with Rihanna. He was also working with Morrissey, who is the former lead singer of The Smiths. Rocky described this album as a ghetto love tale, which reflected his new life in a long-term and committed relationship. And rather damningly for Rocky, this article from GQ in 2021 revealed that this album was close to completion. Halfway through the article, it reads, "When Rocky decides to drop the album, which he estimates is about 90% complete when we speak, it could usher in a radical new phase in his life, Rocky the Romantic. But in November of 2021, we probably have one of the biggest factors behind Rocky not releasing this album. By this stage, A$AP Rocky had pretty much outgrown the entire A$AP hip-hop collective. His relationships with the other members had deteriorated, and on November 6, 2021, Rocky had an argument with A$AP Relly. It was alleged that Rocky fired a gun at Relly, and although Relly was not severely harmed, Rocky now faced felony charges of assault. Ultimately, this meant that he could potentially face years behind bars. But given that All Smiles was 90% complete, Rocky fans were convinced that 2022 would be the year that we finally got a new Rocky album. And it's quite shocking that 3 years ago, Rocky acted like this album was more or less good to go. In the spring of 2022, A$AP released a track called The God Hour with A$AP Ant and the song DMB, which stood for That's My Beat. These songs were received pretty well, and one article in Pitchfork was jokingly headlined, "It's a miracle. A$AP Rocky released 2 decent songs in a row." 7 days after DMB was released, Rocky and Rihanna would become parents and named their child RZA after the iconic leader of the Wu-Tang Clan. Later that month, Rocky did an interview with Days and promised that the album was coming soon. It reads, "In the 4 years since his last LP, Rocky has fitted in and out of studios and Zoom calls to wrap up an album he swears."
And we got, Hijack? And then after Hijack, we got Taylor Swift? He was on, that was a good run. That was a really good run of records that were coming out. That would have been the buzz he needed to actually drop the project because there's so much wave. So this whole what's the actual holdup? Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. What is the actual holdup?
Will be out soon. The interviewer asked, "What can you tell us about your upcoming album, All Smiles?" And Rocky's response was, "One thing I can tell you is that the name isn't going to be All Smiles, I never publicly said that my album was called All Smiles. That one is more of a concept project. It's music and more. I'm wrapping up the new album now. I've been shooting so many visuals for it. I don't want to be cliche or sound like a salesman, but I've pushed myself to the limit on everything. Going from that industrial, subversive sound from the 2018 album Testing, and then graduating with a more polished sound, I just like where it is." In September, Rocky's performance at Rolling Loud New York was advertised as his last show until the album. On September 25th, Rocky would go on to perform an underwhelming 9 songs at this concert. This could hint at the fact that Rocky was burnt out or exhausted, but nonetheless, he did not mention any changes to the upcoming release. Rocky's next concert was on December 8th, and he was scheduled to perform at 2 Chainz' Amazon Music Live concert series. 6 days earlier, on December 2nd, Rocky released the song Me, which suggested that this was a single coming up on the album. However, this track also appeared on the soundtrack for the video game Need for Speed Unbound. 3 days later, Rocky did an interview with Complex and claimed that he was still wrapping things up. The interviewer asked, Me is the lead single for Need for Speed Unbound, but could this also be a lead up to your album? In May, you said you were wrapping up. What stages are you in now? Rocky answered, Yes, we're still wrapping the album up now. Like I told everybody last time, the Rolling Loud performance was my last performance until the album was wrapped. And now it's about time that we start dropping songs and getting prepared for the rollout. There's a lot in store, and I'm excited about everything. Without giving out too many surprises, it's some cool stuff in store. And it's not a situation where they're going to have to wait long. It's like ASAP, no pun intended. But this answer doesn't really give...
Let me tell you guys something. Can we all agree, can we all sit here and can we all agree that since the passing of ASAP Yams, Rocky just has not been the same? He hasn't been as calculated. He hasn't been as consistent. Everything that he's doing since the passing of Yams seems to be slightly chaotic and out of place. Because ASAP Yams was the architect behind the release of records, the entire promotional push leading up to records such as Pretty Flacco or the first ASAP Rocky mixtape. That was all calculated by ASAP Yams. The whole entire ASAP crew's entire build, meteoric rise, was all done through ASAP Yams' Tumblr page that he had created. And there was all of these things that were all calculated leading up to the release of this group. So now without Yams being there, I'm kind of seeing everything that the ASAP Mom is doing is kind of all over the place, and none of the members are kind of sort of together anymore. Everybody's just in their own little nook and corner and doing whatever it is that they could be doing now, but they don't definitely have the star power that they once did back in like 2010, 2012. And that's what happens when a key member that is keeping the group together passes away. Now, I'm saying this, that most groups that do exist, they do end up fizzling out for whatever the reason might be. It's like a ball of yarn. Once you start pulling one thread, the thing just starts to unravel and everything falls apart. So I'm really disappointed in that aspect of the release of Rocky stuff, but I think that's just the progression that was going to happen anyway with any kind of group. It's hard to keep a bunch of different members and people with different perspective and ideas together regardless.
Way much, and Rocky still maintained that this album was coming out before his next concert. On December 8th, Rocky appeared on an advertisement during Thursday Night Football promoting the Amazon show and unveiled the name of the album. He said, Thursday Night Football, Amazon, first time back on stage, album finished, don't be dumb, let's go. But the concert came and went with no new album to be seen. Rocky debuted a few songs for this concert, but still left his fans feeling shortchanged. To make matters worse, this lack of an album launch also coincided with Rocky launching his own furniture design studio, Homemade. And by 2023, a lot of the more casual Rocky fans would have zoned out, and as the year unfolded, his more loyal fans would not be rewarded for their patience.
I just realized what I'm going to name this episode. This episode is going to be called ASAP Rocky, the Boy Who Cried album. Come on, man. Come on. How I come up with these ideas you don't even understand.
January 2023, Rocky released the song Same Problems, which showed Rocky taking on a more socially conscious and introspective style. The track was also a continuation of the alternative sound he was going for and featured artists like Tyler the Creator, Lil Yachty, and Thundercat. To promote the song, Rocky did an interview with Zane Lowe, and the topic of a new album was broached once again. Here he explained the meaning of the title Don't Be Dumb.
The last album was just go dumb. Dummy, go dumb. And now it's just like, kids, don't be dumb.
And he explained that the album was coming soon.
Absolutely, it's coming, it's finishing. We just putting the finishing touches on it, it's coming for sure.
2 months passed by and no album was released. Rocky did yet another interview with GQ where the interviewer cautiously asked, Can you say anything about the new album Don't Be Dumb? Is it still coming out this year? Rocky's response, I don't want to say too much about it because I want it to speak for itself. Maybe later on today I'll play you some stuff and vibe out, but for the most part, that ish is lit. It's fire. I'm just figuring out the kinks, but it's fire, man. Rocky would release new music in July with the song Riot, Rowdy Pipin'. He also directed a commercial for Dr. Dre's Beats. To promote this commercial, Rocky did another interview with Complex. In this interview, Rocky revealed the impressive list of production credits on Don't Be Dumb, which included Tyler the Creator, Madlib, Hit Boy, Boy Wonder, Alchemist, Metro Boomin, Mike Dean, and Swedish House Mafia. He also confirmed that there was a Rihanna collab, as well as a feature from the Mexican star Peso Pluma. The Complex interviewer complimented Rocky on the hidden Easter eggs in this commercial, such as the fact that there was a hotel named Don't Be Dumb in the video. Rocky responded, I think it's beautiful that you even notice how I meticulously place these things in the commercial. But yeah, that's really it. Just the Don't Be Dumb hotel. That's an Easter egg. And just the death of the dummies is my new vibe. Then the interviewer gently prodded him on the fact that this album has taken quite a while. He asked, You said you were wrapping up the album in May of last year, and that you were still wrapping up in December. Any status update? And instead of giving a usual throwaway answer, Rocky actually gave a substantial reason why it's taken so long. He said, They gotta stop leaking it. These dummies gotta stop leaking ish. Every time we have to go back to the drawing board. But right now I think it's in a place where we tightened it up and we really can't make or break anything right now. We in album mode. It's time to start rolling out the project. This is just a single for the project. This is really happening. Rocky's song with Playboi Carti called Our Destiny and his video Taylor Swift got released without his permission. He explained that if something leaks, he no longer feels like releasing it afterward. In September, Rocky did an interview with Vogue and understandably mentioned that parenting had consumed a lot of his time, and Rihanna had recently given birth to their second child, Riot Rose. He told Vogue, There's not enough hours on the clock now that I'm a dad. I don't have all day to create, but it's all in the pursuit of happiness. In October, Rocky did another fashion-oriented interview with Dazed. He was asked about the album and responded, "I've been really experimenting as usual and what I..."
Yeah, I get that whole perspective, but he also released the OG collection as well. If we're not mistaken, man's released OG, right? So if you released OG and you have the time to release OG, then you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what are you really dedicating your time to, right? You know what I mean? There's enough time in the day. Mans has enough bread to hire a nanny to take care of his youths. I'm saying there's enough time in the day that you can be doing other things as opposed to just whatever the case might be. I don't know what the man's doing. It seems like Rocky's entire aspect has always been involved with fashion. Whether it's fashion or directing things or that case, this or that, just do that. Just direct and just step away from the music. Because right now, the Boy Who Cried album, everyone is tired. Oh, the album's coming, album's coming. You're not Cardi, dude. You're not Cardi. You're not. I'm sorry. You're not. Just stick to doing something that you actually enjoy and forget about the music. Maybe the music is a different chapter of your life now, my guy. You know what I mean? You don't have to stay the same idea, the same image all the time. You can be whoever you want. This is the thing that people need to understand. They can be whoever they want. So I think it might be time for ASAP to just move on to something else, man. That's just my perspective on it, you know what I mean?
What I like about this is it feels like my best work yet. When asked what fans can expect, Rocky resorted back to his usual throwaway answers and responded, "I want to leave expectations wide and open. I don't want to tell you what to expect. I just want people to experience it how they do naturally." Then the interview quickly went back to the more comfortable territory of his relationship with Rihanna and fashion. Any fans who had hoped for the release of Don't Be Dumb that year would be left disappointed. And in the following year, a diss track by Drake would address something that Rocky fans were too afraid to admit. ASAP Rocky was becoming irrelevant in rap circles. During the Kendrick and Drake beef, it was speculated that Rocky was going to tag himself in. On his 2023 album For All the Dogs, Drake seemed to make multiple sneak disses at Rihanna and Rocky. However, not everyone was convinced that Rocky had what it took to battle Drake. An article in The Fader wrote, "Look, I like some of the recent ASAP Rocky singles, but this isn't a fight he's going to win." And in the song Family Matters, Drake finally took a direct aim at Rocky and rapped, "I ain't even know you rap still because they only talking about your fit again. Probably gotta have a kid again before you think of dropping any ish again." And this verse touched at the uncomfortable truth that Rocky was now better known for fashion and being with Rihanna. 2 days later, Rocky kind of proved Drake's point, where he appeared at a Puma event with Rihanna. When someone asked him about when his new album was coming out, he once again gave the vague answer of very soon. Bear in mind, an album was coming soon 2 years ago, in May of 2022. But later that year, at long last, Don't Be Dumb.
You see what I'm saying? He put himself in that situation, dude. He put himself in that situation by consistently just telling us albums on the way, albums on the way, albums. You know what he should have done? He should have done what Justin Bieber did, bro. He should have just worked in quiet, completely dodged all allegations, and then one day, just out of the blue, album drops by A$AP Rocky. That would have been monumentous. Everyone would be like, "Oh my God, Rocky's back. He's back to making music. Let's listen to it. Let's check it out." No, the man just kept hinting at it. So then the idea of it is kind of lost, and it doesn't have that je ne sais quoi anymore that exists, you know, that quality of sort. I'm just saying, man. That's the Boy Who Cried album, man. It's not a good look, my guy.
Had an official release date. On June 21st, Rocky launched his American Sabotage collection at Paris Fashion Week. Unreleased tracks played while the show took place, and the words "Don't Be Dumb" were stamped across flags outside the venue. And after the event, a pre-sale link was released announcing that the album would be available on August 30th. DJ Cast One was on Ebro in the morning and claimed to have actually heard the album, and he hinted that Rocky had updated this album to talk about Drake.
You're confirming that you heard this on an ASAP Rocky's upcoming album.
I heard songs being played. I heard Slick Rick.
The Ruler.
Yeah, that was amazing. The Ruler.
What?
And I also heard A$AP Rocky definitely addressing a lot of the main topics that are happening out there right now.
As part of the rollout, the song Hijack was released on August 2nd. This contained a surprising feature from Jessica Pratt from the 90s electronic group Portishead. But what made the song gain a lot of attention were the supposed shots fired back at Drake. Rocky went for the obvious angle that Drake was once in love with Rihanna. However, Rocky doesn't really address Drake's central point that he hasn't released an album in years. And on A$AP Rocky's Reddit page, many fans thought that Hijack was a good song, but couldn't live up to the expectations being set. As part of the promotion for Hijack, Rocky did another interview with Zane Lowe and once again complained about songs leaking.
Yeah. Most of the songs that I usually perform and like that, it's leaking. And once it's leaked, it's just like, nah, it's not on the project.
Yeah, because there's no context anymore, right? It doesn't sit within the body of work.
Yeah, it's just all that get leaked, and so I might perform.
Shut up, man. Zane Lowe is just another crotch rider too, bro. Anything you're gonna say, Zane Lowe's gonna be like, yeah, of course, man. Bro, like, of course, 100%. Zane Lowe is the equivalent of, who's that one guy? Tim Westwood, bro. They're the same. You guys are the same, bro. Oh my God. Get out of here. Stop it. I'm done.